The next game is another W game. Huh. It's Wall Street Kid for the NES, nominated by, it's Crush Gals. Love that name.
Good name.
Good name. Wall Street Kid. It really, I'll say this. It delivers on its promise. It is about a Wall Street kid. So it's actually the localized version of the second game in a Japanese series. I think they're just called like the Money Game or something like that.
Yeah, let's play
money making game. So it is basically, I would say it's like Harvest Moon if it were made by Gordon Gekko. It's about like, instead, in Harvest Moon, okay, you the games always begin like, you inherited this farm from your great uncle Festoon, and I didn't come up with that name. Somebody else. That's not a real name.
You should have just said Uncle Fester.
Yeah,
you bunked up.
You inherited this. I like the word festoon though. Festooned with something. So you inherit this farm from Abe Vigoda, and you get all this. And then it's like the idea is like you're supposed to prove yourself that you got like 1 year to like to get your stuff together and turn a profit and do all this stuff with the farm. Because
you have your family name to uphold, and you can't just inherit it like a layabout. Yeah.
So in Wall Street Kid, it's that you get your uncle dies, and for some reason you are the relative he chooses to bequeath his vast fortune to, but he will not give it to you, or the will states that you do not get to keep it unless you can turn $500,000 into $1 million in like 4 months. And on top of it, by just by playing the stock market. And you've also got to, I think it's required, right? You've got to marry your girlfriend. You probably knocked her up, and buy a boat and buy a nice house or apartment, and by the family castle, which was owned by somebody else. Maybe it's a Flintheart Glomgold situation. I'm not sure. It's going to go up on auction at the end of July, and so you have to have enough money to get it. And if you do all those things, you win the game. And yeah.
There's something funny about the intro that friend of the show, Wild Weasel, noted. When the lawyer talks about how your uncle died, your character is just standing there grinning like an idiot even after.
Well, he just inherited like $1 billion. It's like, that's so sad.
Well,
I'm just smiling because it's the nervous smile.
I guess he has no
and these
regard.
Dollar signs in my pupils are nervous dollar signs.
I guess because the kid is all about Wall Street, he has no regard for human life. So
it's implied that you know nothing about trading, though, right? Because there's like a guy you can talk to. It's like, I'm going to teach you about playing the stock market.
Yeah, the premise is, I guess, we just have to take it for what it is. Much like,
it's interesting because we played Jones in the Fast Lane for the last one, and this is kind of like another
what the hell
solitary quest for stuff, where it's like you've been locked in a room, and you've got to use your computer to trade stocks and make money. And at first, it's really hard to make money because you've got a bunch of fake companies that you can invest in, and I guess the manual must have told you which ones are like blue chips and which ones are growth stocks and which ones are whatever. It's like
you can torture me all you want with financial talk because that's like pro wrestling talk.
Yeah, it requires just as much insider knowledge as pro wrestling does to enjoy, except you win real dollars if you know what you're doing.
The difference is this kind of insider knowledge will get you in jail if you're not careful.
Well,
you should probably say that about wrestling
too. There is borderline insider trading built into the game. I should know.
Yeah, actually.
It's not, you don't know if it's insider trading because she could just be getting this information from her like Bloomberg terminal or something.
Okay, but this she in question is, what is her name?
Priscilla.
Priscilla is this person who you just call and like will say like, "Hey, man, I got
a hot tip for you.
For $1,000, I will tell you what is going to happen."
No, Priscilla was the name of your girlfriend.
Priscilla's girlfriend.
Yeah, presumably. Priscilla.
Anne? It's Anne. Anna?
Wow, they really.
Yeah, they have like all these characters with all these
disembodied woman with very little agency.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Who you call?
She's another person who's apparently lives in an office. So. So yeah, that's true. It can't be public information because you have to pay her $1,000 to get it, and it's not, in my experience, that useful to really ask her because basically you just want to find out in case like the stock you put all your money into is going to tank really soon. So it's like, oh, the CEO got the plague or something, So you gotta invest your money, and the game is really heavy on. It's not because you got to do everything in 4 months. So in real life, although if you have a stockbroker, they'll probably be trading stuff all the time because they get fees and stuff every time they do that. And if they do it too much, it's something called churning, and you can be sued by the SEC. But anyway, what you're doing, you don't have a stockbroker in this game, but you have to trade pretty much. You're buying and selling stuff every day. Which in real life is not a great way to make money on the stock market. It's conclusively proven that
there's a whole
anybody who works for you and does this and is telling you to trade stuff constantly is ripping you off.
There's a whole day trader industry that people are trying to train people to go in and do this.
Right. The real people who make money on the stock market are actually people who have super fast computers that will trade and buy and sell stocks several times within hundredths of a second.
Algorithmically.
Which accomplishes absolutely nothing except making those people money. The stock market is supposed to be a way of investing your money, getting a return, and also facilitating commerce and encouraging companies to, good companies
invest their money rather than sit on it.
Right. Yeah, it's a way of, and it also gives the public some control over corporations as well.
I'm sorry. We're putting Sotenga to sleep. We should talk about something exciting.
Shit! What is all this babble?
Add a bearded man in a unitard to this. Maybe that would make it more exciting. So we've got.
I deserve that.
Yeah. Look. Okay.
Right.
So you don't need to play this game. Is the thing. You can simulate this game at home. What you do is you get a stack of about 100 pennies. And you find a small child and you give them 10 of the pennies and say, open the newspaper every day and look at the stocks section. And I want you to put some of those pennies on each one of those stocks. And then in about a month, I want you to have enough pennies to buy me a Hot Wheels car. So figure it out. Over that month, that kid might have more fun than playing Wall Street Kid.
I got to say, I do want to say that this game, as not fun as it kind of is, it has the sort of addictive slot machine type quality to it when you start playing.
Hey, it's
sure.
Xerxes, it's funny you mention that because So Fell, makers of Wall Street Kid, also made Casino Kid, which is a gambling game. Blackjack and slots.
Kids really can't do, by the way.
yeah. What's up with
Play
that?
The stock market and gamble.
I couldn't tell you much about Casino Kid, so that seems pretty straightforward. I grew up on Vegas Dreams, so I could tell you more about that, but, on Wall Street Kid, I don't know if it's just because I dislike money, but I just found this game perniciously boring.
If you dislike money, I can just give you a P.O. box, and you can just send whatever extra you have.
I recognize its presence as a necessary evil.
I see. You have a grudging. Okay. The thing about this game is this is it's not all that different from other kinds of business simulation games, where in this case you're a rich dirtbag, but in other business games like Aerobiz, you own something and contribute to the world. Yeah. But the thing is it's basically just watching, it's kind of trying to figure out what's gonna take, be a good investment and what's not, and when to get out. But the problem is that unlike the real stock market, where you're going to, if you want to do this, you should be doing research and figuring out which is a solid company that's going to, right. You got to know, and people pay a lot of money for this kind of access to information now, even though the internet exists.
It's algorithmic in this game. It will decide.
It's random and
nothing.
Right.
That this
so
stock
for a little while, and they shift value, or they increase and decrease in value pretty rapidly. There's a couple stocks that always seem to be in the tank, but for the most part, there's and then the trick is really just kind of you read the news and see which ones are taking off. You can pay your Martha Stewart insider trader lady to give you some illegal info. But there's no skill involved in it, other than just figuring out what the best way of dividing up your assets are. And
it is an interactive piece of software you interact with it, but I don't know if you can necessarily play or get good at it.
It's a good way of teaching kids that this is not a good use of your money, but
I defer to my penny model, but like,
yeah,
you're right. I guess
my problem with it is that unlike other sim games, there's not a whole lot else that happens in the game. So you've got your girlfriend Priscilla with her giant 80s hair, and she really, so there's like dating sim elements to it. So you can sync you've got hours in a day, you know, and the hours tick by at an accelerated rate. And you can spend those hours after you're done trading. You can spend your hours at like exercising or going out on dates with your girlfriend, fiance, and later wife. Although I don't really know what happens if you ignore her. Maybe she leaves and you lose the game. I'm not sure. Probably something boring.
Well, there is a mechanic where like you need to be. I don't know if she'll eventually leave, but it's kind of implied that they're monitoring how you're doing in your relationship. Like your family has a vested interest in you basically being
mind his own damn business.
Creepy.
Sure. Give me your money and rot, you old bag.
And it's so I wonder if the exercise, because like I was wondering, it's like why the hell would there doesn't seem to be a clear mechanical reison why you would ever exercise in this game.
He's so smart. How come he's dead?
Wait, what?
Sorry, it's a Simpsons thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but you gotta invest some of your time into. But the problem is that it really doesn't. It's not a challenge to manage your time well, because there's nothing else to do. There's nothing you can fritter away your time on. Like there's no like Game Boy sitting on the table. It's like, oh, I'm going to play Dr. Mario for 2 hours. And
or there's no like fatigue meter you need to go and fill.
What they should do is really embrace the idea that like this is a game that models off of work, and then give you a way of avoiding work by playing an actually fun game that's built into this game.
Sure.
And then like so if like the weird compromise or the weird challenge of the game would be forcing yourself to play the game instead of the really fun game that's built into it, but will make you lose the main game.
Well, but he's playing like let's say it's a cell phone game, something that's real Skinner box. There's no real way to get good at it, but you're just kind of throwing money at it, and maybe you win sometimes, but then you realize the stock market's the same, and it becomes a cyclical thing, and then you rise up and burn down your building. Right? That's where you're going, right?
I'm not sure how you got to burning down the building, but I'll follow you.
Because it's all a joke. Look, I
mean, so there's just not. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that for a sim game, like what you'd want is to have some kind of. The challenge should be, like time management.
Yeah, like you should be trying to achieve a sim game, like a good. Think about Roller Coaster Tycoon. Or like those railroad simulator games, like there's not even an end goal. It's just like the goal of it is to like be a successful business person, and to sort of perpetually be like, I'm feeding into a thing and the system is running and that gives me more money to do this and you play it forever. This one seems very like specifically late 80s, early 90s, like your goal is just to get the cash, kid. And you're going to get the cool car and you're going to put the cool, and like, I don't know, it just seems like a really...
its credit though, it's not like Jones in the Fast Lane where it's like a solitary quest for stuff, which I think I should coin and trademark that. I coined that phrase, I should trademark it. Unless somebody else has done it first.
But the messaging is similar.
Yeah, I mean, but you do. I mean, okay, but you can have like a happy marriage, and like she doesn't like your girlfriend, later wife, is not like doing anything bad. She just kind of sits around and waits, and as long as you take her out on a picnic every day, she's happy. So like you don't even have to buy her all the expensive stuff she asks for. It doesn't really do anything. So it's like there's no. Really, what they should have done is had like an ostentatiousness meter or something, or like a materialism like thermometer or barometer or something, where it's like I just added a like a bearskin rug and something to my sweet pad in Forest Hills or whatever. There's just no other stuff for you to do.
I guess that would really be my main complaint.
Let's rank this.
I will say, I guess a fundamental problem I have with Wall Street Kid, and this is just me being a bitter, mopey guy, but I don't like games that put me in a situation I can never hope to realistically achieve in real life. So I guess that's a strike against
But
it.
you could achieve it if you had a super rich relative.
Game.
Oh, that's not happening anytime soon. No, wait. Well, no, maybe I do have. Nah, forget. Well, my life has nothing to do with this. That's just a dark rabbit hole.
But the thing is, Sotenga, that's a strike against every video game that's ever been made.
Point. Well, except maybe Lester the Unlikely, I suppose. I had to. That would be an interesting one to rank. Well, anyway. Yeah, you've got a point, though. I see what you're saying. But you know,
it's, as an escapist fantasy, it's not a particularly enjoyable one.
Yeah.
You don't get to do anything like crazy materialist, like 80s Reaganite type.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's like, hey, you want to buy this $50,000 car? It's like, great. I don't get any mechanical benefit.
Get nothing. You should at least show you like pulling up to your solitary office in some sweet ride.
That's the point I was sort of leading up to, where this game just
feels. You can't have a game like this without just showing your character visibly losing his soul in some way. Right?
Yeah,
sure.
This game is too realistic. That's why it makes me. So it brings too many parallels to real life, except for not being rich. But it's not really an escapist fantasy, and it's not like another simulator where you're like ruler of a nation like Civilization.
This game does have some pretty bitchin' cover art, though.
At least,
it's just like the titular Wall Street kid in some kind of like Dayglow suit holding a. Is he holding a bag of money?
He's holding a briefcase that says "Top Secret" and I think a bag of money in the other hand.
Oh, so he's got his stolen insider trading stuff.
Yeah,
and he's got sunglasses, because as we all know, if you're gonna shake things up, you better put on some damn Ray-Bans.
All right.
What this game's really missing is an old crone that comes by and says, "You don't get to keep any of it when you're dead."
Like a Stephen King.
The ravages of age.
To rank this game,
I would put it. Would put it below Eight Eyes, below Hanagumi Taisen Columns, which I can't imagine what that. Oh, it's just a columns game. We did talk about this. I remember.
I think Joe started.
Let me mention another negative factor: the music.
Bill Lambier's Combat Basketball.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the
repetitive
music. Yeah.
I'll tell you why it's below Bill Lambert's Combat Basketball. Because you can actually play and get good at Bill Lambert's Combat Basketball.
Well,
it's a
I'll
game.
say this about Wall Street Kid, though. I don't think you have to really. I think once you figure out what you're supposed to do, that's it. So you can get good at it. I mean, it was way too easy, I thought. And I mean, I'll also say, like, Bill Lambert's Combat Basketball is, like I said, we've already said this in another episode, that the name alone is worth the price of admission for that.
For sure.
Yeah, I would rather
a better name if you don't know who Bill Lambier is, because Bill Lambier sounds like a guy who owns a Ford dealership.
I would rather be Bill Lambier than a stiff in a suit.
He's not a stiff in a suit. He is a cool 80s dude who is just rocking the boat left and right. Boom, boom. He's like rocking the Wall Street.
Yeah,
it's like there's the bull and the bear, and then like a freaking surfboard with the food box on.
And yet, Wall Street Kid is still going lower.
So is he cooler than Bill Lambier? Yes or no?
Well,
okay, whether or not Wall Street Kid is cooler than Bill Lambier.
So anyway,
Wall Street Kid,
I think
better
below
than
Bill
Jones in the
Lambier.
Fast Lane.
Okay,
and above Jones in the Fast Lane, if only
Jones in the Fast Lane is
because
the true solitary quest for stuff.
Yeah, and you don't feel like there's at least a positive trajectory possible in Wall Street Kid. Whereas Jones in the Fast Lane seems
feel like you could possibly. Yeah, it's much more nefarious.
Yeah, exactly. Wall Street Kid feels like it wants you to succeed, even though the way to do that is long and boring. Jones in the Fast Lane just feels like kicking you in the nuts every hour on the hour,
and you die alone, right?
No, you never actually die in that game. You just keep getting a relative who tells you that I love you, but you suck, so here's some money. So
you're just this lich throughout history.
From your grave.
It is
work at Bed Bath and Beyond.
Jones in the Fast Lane is a definite circle of hell, while Wall Street Kid is limbo at worst.
It really just is boring. And that's
and that's why I'd rate it where you guys said, between Bill and Beer's Combat Basketball, Jones and Fastlane. I think that's perfect. I don't think it's going to do much better.
And we're done.
Ranked.